He grew up in Iran, immigrated to the United States with his family, and created an incredibly successful career. And he's joining us now to discuss the crisis in Iran. We want to welcome Shervin Pishovar. Shervin, good morning, and thank you for your time. I know how busy you are right now.
Good morning, Shelley.
Shervin, you've
Thank you.
helped over the years to get those Starlink, those internet systems to be able to connect internet into Iran. And despite all the efforts over the many, many years, as many are waking up this morning, the country is still in a digital blackout. 90 million people still without proper access to the internet. And there are some reports saying that the regime, they do plan to keep it like this for months. Explain to us the importance of having internet and the phones on during times like this.
Absolutely. I started working on what I call freedom technologies in 2010 during the Green Revolution and all the revolutions across of North Africa. And I had a dinner with the Secretary of State back then with Eric Schmidt and Jack Dorsey, where I said the last bastion of dictatorship is the router. What dictators do when their regimes of terror are falling apart is they block the internet, they block information flow. And it's really important in modern times for humans to be able to communicate with the world and say what the truth is. I flew to Benghazi back then, 2 weeks before Gaddafi was killed. We started to work on these ideas of using satellites to bring internet to people. So in 2022, I went to Starlink, SpaceX headquarters. I bought many Starlinks, and with a band of rebels, we started to smuggle Starlinks to the protesters during the Women Life Freedom movement, and we continued to scale that over time in advance and knowing that a day like this might come. Iranians need to be able to communicate with the world. And so they've done a complete blackout because they know what just happened was a murder of now 16,000 young Iranians who have went out saying that they want freedom to the world, one of the most courageous acts of modern times ever that has inspired the world. And in their last breaths, they sacrificed themselves for a freedom that they knew they wouldn't potentially taste, and you were shouting Reza Pahlavi, the Crown Prince's name, and wanting a complete change. They've been living in an open-air prison for the last 47 years, and now it's turned into an extermination camp. 16,000 murders in 48 hours is a murder every 10.8 seconds, every 11 seconds. We haven't seen anything like this since the Nazis and the genocide against the Jews during World War II. This is murder at an industrial scale. The world cannot sleep. This cannot stand. This hatred is the same hatred that funded and fueled 10/7. These are the same, fanatics that will, want to kill everyone that is against their medieval ideologies.
Right.
And it's so important for us to use these technologies to get them access to the freedom that they want.
Shervin, just a few moments ago, you mentioned the Crown Prince of Iran, and just last night, the Crown Prince, Reza Pahlavi, released a video saying that the regime has the blood of tens of thousands of Iranians on their hands. Just in the past few weeks, I have heard you say multiple times the time is to act is now. Many feeling that they're wondering what happened to this help that the United States had promised, the president had promised to the Iranian people. Do you think that this time to act has passed?
One thing I know about President Trump, I've spoken to him personally about Iran in the past, and one thing I know about his character is that he is a man of his word. So when he says that, and it did inspire millions of Iranians to come out in the streets. Also, Prime Minister Netanyahu said that we'll have your back. He is also a man of his word. So I keep the faith. I have faith in their characters and leadership that this evil will not stand, that the Iranian people will be helped. One thing in our history, Iranian people have never needed help in the past, and this Islamic regime, these terrorists know that, and they're using these modern Gestapos, and they're using mercenaries that they brought in from abroad, because many of the military and police have refused to go to work to murder their own people. So they've had to smuggle people in to do these murders. This has to end. I have faith that it will end, and I ask for everyone for your prayers for the Iranian people, and for your support, your vocal support. The people who are silent right now, I really don't know what to say about that. But the people who are vocal and are contacting the congressmen and senators and the White House, we really appreciate your support.
That would bring me to the next question. You talk about people being silent. What is the importance for the entire world to really pay attention to what's happening inside of Iran right now? What's happening in Iran? How will it affect the entire world in the coming years?
It makes me think of a poem that my beloved mother always taught me, from Sadi, that is at the top of the UN's entrance, that humans are made of one body, and if any one part of the body is in pain, and if you don't feel that pain, then you cannot be, by the name of human, go. And so we are one humanity. What's happening in Iran is about all humanity. What is going on there is a predictor of everything that could happen to any one of us in the West. We're already being invaded by this strategy of the Islamic regime. They have funded and infiltrated the Western democracies. They've infiltrated America itself. All of these protests that we saw, basically supporting terrorists. I don't know if you saw a tweet I did, a post I did on X yesterday, showing this young woman, Callie Walsh, who was in Tehran, was in Iran, saying "Marg bar Amerika," death to America. This is a 22-year-old American that's been brainwashed and funded, and she's traveled to Cuba and been funded. This is a long-term strategy that the Islamic terrorist regime and Khamenei have deployed. They've invaded the West. What we see, this unbelievable murder of 16,000 Iranians in 48 hours, is a predictor of the hatred and the violence that they want to export, not just to the Middle East, but to the rest of the world. And it must end. This is our final stand. We must free Iran in order for the world to be free of this kind of terror.
And I know there's many, many people around the world that want just that, including those Iranians inside of Iran. Shervin Pishevar, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you, Shelley.